Very pleased to introduce a very familiar face to you now. Our very own Anne Diamond, of course a national treasure and an OBE, known for her decades-long television career, but also a proud mother to 5 sons.
I'm going to tell you the tale about one of them this morning. Anne tragically lost her 3rd son. He was Sebastian. He was just over 4 months old at the time. The year was 1991 and the cause of death was cot death. Yeah, and since then, Anne has campaigned to spread awareness and has herself been responsible for reducing cot deaths from 2,500 a year to just 300. Absolutely incredible, Anne. I was actually pregnant when I first met you with my first child, and you were doing the pay-per-views with Eamon and me. And your story impacted me so much. I thought about you almost every day. I put my baby down to sleep on his back, and it was your Back to Sleep campaign that has changed and saved all these lives. It's incredible.
It is incredible, and it's so amazing you saying that, because the incredible thing we discovered, we had to go all the way to New Zealand to discover it because they were doing a lot of campaigning there, was that it was a very simple message. But we at the time, in 1991, when I had Sebastian, we were all told to sleep babies on their tummies, and that was the accepted practice. But what we didn't know, it was really heightening the risk of cot death to all of those babies. It doesn't mean that every baby who sleeps on its tummy is going to die of cot death, but for some reason it just meant that if we could give out that very, very simple message, put your baby on his or her back to sleep, the cot death rate plummeted. And nobody, even to this day, nobody really knows why, the mechanism of cot death, what changes it, but we just know that it works. And there's no danger in sleeping your baby on his or her back either. So do it, and you severely reduce the risk of cot death happening to you.
And Anne, would it be right in saying that the risk of putting baby on their stomach is suffocation?
Well, no, I mean, there were a lot of postmortems done in the days when 2,500 babies a year were dying, and they never really got to the conclusion. It's something to do with overheating. You sort of tend to overheat more if you're face down. I think even adults, if you sleep on your tummy, you tend to find that. You tend to go into a more deep sleep, from which maybe some babies just can't pull themselves out of it. And then there are other risk factors, like if there's any small infection in the house at all, in the family, then that's another sort of added thing that makes it difficult for the baby to maybe pull themselves out of a sleep. It's extraordinary that we still don't know the mechanism, but in a way we don't need to.
And do you mind if I ask you a little bit about Sebastian? It really amazes me how a mother who can lose a child in such a shocking and unexpected way, so little, so precious, can then turn that grief into something so positive. How did you find the strength to get up, get a camera crew, as you say, travel to the other side of the world and investigate all of this?
Tell you what, I think it was anger more than anything. I was angry at Sebastian for dying. You feel like saying, God, 32 years later and I can still get very, very upset about it. But you do. I was angry that he died and he didn't call out for me. I was angry that that while he was born and lived with me and slept and then died, they were actively campaigning in New Zealand to try and stop this happening, because they had a very high cot death rate there. They had the lady, the Anne Diamond, if you like, of New Zealand, a television presenter called Judy Bailey, went on telly every night and said, if you're just about to put your baby down to sleep, put him on his or her back, not the tummy, and this will help. And their cot death rate plummeted. And I went out to New Zealand and met her, and it was anger that drove me to come back and demand that we have the same advert here, the same campaign. And of course, I got all this complete nonsense from the Department of Health saying, oh, young mothers do not watch television, I was told. That they would put a sort of a working party on it that would meet in 5 years' time and look at the data. And then I found out, even worse, was that we in Britain had agreed, we knew what was going on in New Zealand, and we'd agreed to be a control. In other words, while New Zealand mums were being told how to save their babies' lives, we actively denied British mums that advice during the time that Sebastian and others were dying.
the education continues. The memory of Sebastian continues as well. The fact that you were awarded an OBE in recognition of your work on this front. You're now fronting the Safer Sleep Week. Could you tell us about that and what the message is?
Well, the message, it's just a way of reminding everybody, because obviously there are new mothers and fathers all the time. There is the new generation always going on who won't know who I am. They won't remember my personal tragedy. So you just have to keep reminding. And Safer Sleep Week is just about reminding of the advice. First of all, the most important thing is baby should sleep on his or her back, and then watch out for not overheating them. There are lots of sort of tips to make their sleeping environment much safer. But the most important one is back to sleep, and has been now for 32 years.
Yeah, I think one of the other ones is to make sure their feet are touching the end of the cot so that
right.
their blankets don't go over their heads.
That's right. When babies wriggle, they tend to wriggle downwards. And in the day, a lot of babies were found dead having wriggled underneath their duvet. They shouldn't have duvets either. I mean, there's lots and lots of advice.
Yeah.
If you just Google safer sleep, you'll get it.
And the other point, I suppose, to make is it's helpful to educate all generations, because when I had my babies, my mum would say, he's not settling, just stick him on his tummy, he'll be much happier. That's what we did with you. And we had to say, well, things have changed, and,
Yes.
we know better than that. And, obviously she listened to me, but it's about educating everybody, because it's not just the mums that get their hands on the babies.
Absolutely. Everybody who looks after a baby. Yeah, it doesn't matter how old.
Well, Anne, well done.
Good luck with getting this message out, Anne. Sorry for making you talk about that, but if it saves lives, then that is the important thing. Thank you very much indeed.
Him too.
And if you want to find out more about Anne's Safer Sleep Week or donate, you can visit the Lullaby Trust's website. That's lullabytrust.org.uk. lullabytrust.org.uk.